when the time will come. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeeper to be on the watch. Watch, therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening or at midnight or at cockcrow or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to all, watch. The Gospel of the Lord.
Don't you wish we could keep him? The only problem is his uncle is the personnel director for the diocese, also a priest, so I don't know that I could manipulate that one too well. Well, watch. Very clearly the word of the day, right? Watch. And I remember when I was a kid, I wanted a watch. And I think they're making a comeback now again. And the first watch that I received was for my first Holy Communion. My godfather got me a watch. I still have it, and it still works. And it's a wind-up one. I don't know that they make those anymore, you know. But that's not the kind of watch we're talking about. And what watch are we talking about? Well, you know, you got to go to Google for that. So, you know, I Googled the word and I took a little photograph of it so I can, you know, get it in case the Wi-Fi wasn't working in the church right now. And so it's a verb. I feel like we're in English class again. Last week, those of you who were here for this Mass, I gave you an English class. Watch as a verb means look at or observe attentively, typically over a period of time. Look at or observe attentively, typically over a period of time. Unfortunately, the second definition, which is labeled as being archaic, unfortunately it's labeled as archaic, watch, remain awake for the purpose of religious observance. I suppose we've been termed archaic, what we're doing right now. Watch. How did you learn to watch? How did you learn to watch? Well, I was thinking a lot about that. At Christmas, I always learned to watch for the new brand names catalog to come out. Because as soon as the new brand names catalog, how many of you went through that to make the Christmas list, huh? You know, and I was very kind. I still have the last copy of the brand names catalog. I saved it all these years. And, you know, I was very kind because I wrote down not only the page number, I also wrote the item number. It was very clear. You know, I would watch very closely for that. As a kid, we always went on Friday nights to my grandmother's. And for those of you who are Polish, that would translate to babcia. That's what we used to call her, babci. We went to babci's because my one uncle lived with my grandmother, and when he was at work, somebody was usually with her, and all of my uncles took their turns. It was like clockwork. And Uncle Charlie, my Uncle Charlie, everybody has to have an Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie, he would spend every night, 7 nights a week, at the house at 358 Amherst Street. And my sister and I, on Fridays, would go with my mother and my father, and we would keep the evening with my grandmother. And we waited, we watched. We watched for Uncle Charlie's headlights to come into the driveway. Because my sister and I had what we used to affectionately call the Uncle Charlie scare plan. And the front part of the house, which was originally my grandfather's tailor shop, then it became my uncle's music studio. We used to hide in various places there to scare Uncle Charlie, which probably wasn't the best idea since he was the oldest of the uncles, you know. But nonetheless, we would do this. And I never could understand over all the years why he was scared every time. Why didn't he figure out that this was going to happen? As I got older, I think he was humoring us, you know. But we used to learn what it meant to watch. You know, we watched for Uncle Charlie's headlights. Maybe many of us watch, you know, for some guest to come to visit us at home, huh? We watch for these things. Back when I took my road test in those days, it was an instant knowledge. You had to watch the mail. It would take about 2 weeks before you got either a letter saying you got to take it again, or if the envelope felt right, you knew that the driver's license was in there. We would watch. And we know that a watched pot never, a watched pot never boils. And then as I slowly got older, I saw watching taking a different meaning. When I was a freshman in high school, my other grandmother, who we called Nana, my other grandmother was near her life's end. She passed on September the 8th of 1979 when I was a freshman in high school, just beginning that. And my family, we kept watch 24/7. One of us was with Nana for 24 hours a day, and I remember the day she died. It was a Saturday at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because for whatever reason, even though we've kept watch for a couple of weeks, nonstop, 24/7, for about 5 minutes that Saturday, from about 5 to 5 o'clock, no one was in the room with her. And it was in those 5 minutes that she slipped from this world to the next. In hindsight, I think she was waiting for it to be alone finally, you know, and say, it's time for me to leave, please leave me alone, you know. But in that short 5 minutes that we weren't there keeping watch was the moment that the Lord called. I remember as a younger priest in my early 30s when my mother passed, for a couple of weeks she was very sick. We knew the end was near. Spent every night at home until the night of January the 13th of 2004, because she had such of a good day. I decided, instead of spending the night tonight, I'm going home. She's doing great. Little did I know that in the middle of that night, not keeping watch, she would slip from this world to the next. And then back on November the 14th of 2011, next door to us in the ICU, my sister, myself, a few close friends, we kept watch with my father until he breathed his last. We're called to keep watch. And what is the watch that we're called to keep? It's maybe not so much for the brand names catalog. That's going to be a long watch, you know. But to keep watch for life eternal. Because what is it that we hear in the gospel today? We're reminded the very basic thing. You do not know the day or the hour. I learned that in very serious ways, even though we were keeping watch in a couple cases, was those couple moments that we weren't keeping watch was right when the Lord came. And so as we begin this season, we're called to really keep the season of Advent and to watch. And I've said a number of times, you know, I repeat again today, try to keep Advent as Advent, the time to watch and to prepare, and try to keep Christmas, Christmas. I know I said a few weeks ago I went intentionally to Tops around 9 o'clock Halloween night, and all of the Halloween candy was gone and all of the Christmas decorations were already up. And I will go on December the 26th at 9 in the morning, and my guess is the chocolate hearts will already be there for sale. And how challenging it is to drive home Christmas night and find trees already at the curb when we're just beginning the celebration of Christmas. I've told you before, our customs were so much filled with watching and waiting at home. You know, we didn't put our tree up to the 23rd. We didn't light it till after the first star on the 24th, and it stayed up till Epiphany. The entire time we celebrate Christmas as a season. And even Christmas Eve, you know, we celebrated Vigilia. Many other cultures have the same custom to celebrate a meatless meal, a simple meal. And I told your mother, as good as she was, we didn't even get a Christmas cookie, you know, because it wasn't Christmas. We were still watching, and we were waiting. But after midnight mass, and we came home, that's when the kielbasa came out, that's when the ham came out, that's when the cookies came out, because now we celebrate. Today we're reminded to watch, and most importantly, to watch for that moment unknown to us, that the Lord will come to us and say, it's time. We're called to watch and to be ready. In this whole season of Advent, try to keep it a season to watch. And if you watch with great expectation, it builds great joy when the moment comes. That's the beauty of watching. It creates that expectation, it creates an excitement, and in all that preparation, when the final moment comes, there's an even greater joy because of all that has gone waiting for that moment. So, today, the first day of Advent, watch. Before we profess our faith, we will bless our Advent